Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, October 13th. It is 6:19 right now. Market's going to open in about 11 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick, and then we can get started shortly. So just give me a few moments to finish setting all of this stuff up. And once everything's all set up, we can be good to go. So a couple more things here to update. It's good. All right, so everything looks good. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. All right, solid. All right, so I'll get a few moments for people to make their way in. As people join their way, I'm going to go ahead and mark up the zones over here. I'm not going to mark up the high zones because they're pretty relevant, but price will low down. If price does make its way up there, then I'll update them. But if not, I'm just going to focus on what's down here. Let's see what else are we missing over here. I think we had news this morning. I'm just going to turn this off for now. Clean up the chart a bit. All right, so we had news this morning at 5:30. It was inflation news, pretty much what we expected. Huge drops all around. So let me just add that to the chart as well. So right here, Thursday, October 13th, news at 5:30 was positive news. However, price did take a dump down as anticipated. So already knew price is going to come down pretty much since Monday. You know, the inflation news wasn't necessarily supposed to be any good, but for some reason it was. So this is going to be 5:30 a.m. US news. Positive. And then got some more news coming up over here at 7:30 and 8 o'clock. So I'm going to mark that up over here as well. 7:30 and 8 o'clock. All right, cool. So let's see who's here so far. Morning, Peter. Morning, Dejan. Morning, Kenny. Dejan said that spike at 5 must have been news or something. Yeah, there's a CPI news that I was referring to like pretty much all week. We already anticipated, because the market was super slow on Monday and Tuesday, that we're going to get some crazy movements Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. At 5:30, we had the CPI, core CPI, and unemployment claims. It was all positive news, but you can see the market did the opposite, because there's really no reason for the CPI to really be positive right now. It should be negative. But this is just a slight increase, not a huge increase, just a slight increase. It was up by, it's still down. So if you look at CPI here, this is actually up by like 0.3%, not even a percentage point. And then CPIY for the year is actually lower. So it was 8.3%. Last month it was just down like 0.1%. So it's not really moving very much. Same with core CPI. It was 0.6%. They're expecting it to be lower, but it was just around the same point. So it's not like a huge change, because inflation has been going up. We'll have to see what the Fed has to say about it after, though. Because typically, the news doesn't necessarily affect the market that much. It's really what they're going to do with the inflation news. Like, are they going to keep increasing it? Are they going to keep lowering it? They're going to keep it where it's at. That's really the big move that's going to either continue the drop or keep it around this area for now. So looks like price pretty much got propped up until this point, and then it just dumped all the way down. So you can see right here, price is getting propped up pretty much all day yesterday. And then as soon as the CPI news came out, it just blasted right back down. So no surprise there. We kind of anticipated to drop anyways. But yeah, at this moment, we'll have to see if there's any entries we'll be able to take as price stays below here. So at 6:25 right now, market's in open in about 5 minutes. What I'm going to do here as well, I'm going to mark up the overall direction confluences in market morning. All right, so looking at this over here, overall long-term bias, retail sentiment is currently 66% long. So we're still looking for sells here. $66 long. Fundamentals are currently at 520 points. So I'm just going to put 530 points down there. So fundamentals are currently down 530 points. I kind of anticipated this to drop already, like pretty much since last night. If you guys saw my Asia session trades, I took a bunch of sells. Obvious reason. It was very strong for a sell bias. So 4-hour trend is bearish. 1 hour also bearish. 30-minute also bearish. 15-minute also bearish. Everything's pretty much bearish. I'm sure the 10-minute is bearish as well, just like the 1 minute. 10-minute also bearish right there. So we'll see where the breakout's going to go, but it might be tricky because of the big drop. Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. So let's see, market's been open in about 3 minutes. It's 6:27 right now. As you guys can see, we have a very strong overall sell bias right here. We have a long-term retail sentiment, which is 66% long, indicating that 66% of retail traders are currently buying. So you want to do the opposite and sell. Fundamentals are down 530 points. 4-hour trend has been bearish since yesterday. 1-hour trend, same. 30-minute, 15-minute, 10-minute, all bearish since yesterday. If you guys look at my trades from last night, I took some Asia session trades. Right here, all sells, hit 1,500 on my main account, 1,400 on my FTMO copier, 1,600 on my MFF, 1,670 on my second MFF, 1,650 on my third MFF, and 1,741 on my TFF. My personal account up $30. Pretty good so far. I'm expecting to take some more sells as price continues to obviously move along. So let's see what happens here when the market opens in the next few minutes. All right, guys, market is opening in about 50 seconds. As you guys can see, the market is kind of choppy right now. It's kind of just flattening out based off the news moves earlier. We have a pending zone down here. So as of now, guys, I'm still only focusing on 2 strategies. I'm focusing on the SR rejection and the V1 variation. So I don't see any of those right here right now. So we need a sell signal. Market's going to open in about 20 seconds. Yeah, morning. Morning, everybody. All right, guys, market should be open about 3, 2, 1. Market is now open. So let's see where price goes. One of two things you're going to happen. Price is either going to continue back down further or it's going to correct up, right? My guess is that eventually price is going to come back down in a continuation of where price has been going. It's going to have to retrace a bit, obviously, but I'd be careful taking any buys because the bias for today is such a strong bias for a sell that I probably wouldn't be looking to take any buys today. I'll just focus down here. So in order for this to be a breakout for a sell, we need that sell signal to come up. But the volatility right now is super low, just like John said. Yeah, volatility is way low right now. So you definitely want to be a bit careful if you're looking to take anything because this thing's not really moving too much. Mark this up as opening price. All right, we got that marked up right here. What we need here for this breakout is a strong red candle. I don't think I would be taking it because it's still a really big risk, but I'll probably follow and see where this goes. What I'm looking for here is I'm looking for an SR rejection, but in order to get that, we need that sell signal as well. So either way, we need the sell signal to come up. Here goes, price kind of fakes out up a little bit. Then go here to the clean chart and mark up areas of high low so that you guys can identify market structure here a bit better. As you guys can see, price is just ranging. It's ranging right down here right now. All right, we got that sell signal right here, but it's right at the opening price. So it's going to be a bit of a risky move here. I'm going to mark it up, but I'm not going to take it. This is going to be the breakout. If I do, I might take it for a partial move, but I think this is going to have to retrace up a little bit. It's right at opening price, so we'll see where it goes. But yeah, this is the breakout right here. So let's see if it drops down lower. If it retraces it up, I'm going to look for a, which I think it's going to retrace up. I'm going to look for an SR rejection. So I'm looking for price to come back up, reject off the structure right there. And that's where I'll be looking for my entry. And this is exactly why I wouldn't take the trade for the breakout. It was right at opening price. So if you guys remember the red flags, we don't take trades when price is near opening price, meaning price is touching it, right? So this candle where the entry came up from, it actually touched the opening price. So it's definitely a no-no to make an entry there. If price does come back down though, then that could be an opportunity to enter, but right now, definitely not. So good thing we didn't take it because you can see right here, price did retrace up pretty heavily. There goes, price pushes up higher. This is completely fine if price continues to push up like this. This will allow us to catch a wick rejection off any of this area over here for an SR rejection entry. Right now, definitely no entries. Yeah, exactly. And Patrick also mentioned that candle was also bigger than breakout stop loss. Yeah, that's right. So a couple things there to look out for. What I had marked up right here. The candle here was too big. So there's two things that applied here that made us avoid the trade. Price was near opening price, which was touching it. And then also candle prior entry is too large, meaning it was bigger than the stop loss. So this is what it means about being disciplined and being patient, right? Because I can see a lot of people thinking to like pop into the sell here because price has been dropping. They're expecting a continuation of this move. However, there was other red flags here indicating that price would have done this, the opposite. It was at opening price, candle was too big, and it was just not a good area to trade in. So we'll continue looking for another entry here. The trend meter is now blue, so we can't take any sells at the moment. We need price to come back below here. Retrace right here, reject off it, and come down lower. Nice, man. He said he caught the manipulated push up. It was on 1 hour, man. Solid. No, that's cool. There's also a V1 there, I think. Looks like there was a V1 double body right here. The bias is for a sell though, so I wouldn't have taken the buy, but it I mean it's still aligned right there. All right, here we go. As price comes back down. You guys can tell there's no direction. The zone that I marked over here, price is still running through it. Hasn't broke out of it yet. All right, let's see where it's going. So there's not too much going on here. Price is just going back and forth between opening price. So it's not directional at all. Mark up 630 right here so that you can see when market opened. Follow it up to 7. And then 8 o'clock. So market opened right here. Nothing's been going on. You can see this is where, I mean, it's pretty much where price is just bouncing around from. It's right at opening price. Still nothing going on. So what I'm looking for here is the sell signal, or I'm looking for it to just come down a little lower. Yeah, pretty much just waiting for it to come back below here, provide that sell signal, and then provide a wick rejection off the structure here so that we can take an SR rejection entry. But it looks like it's going to have some issues, getting around. Still not ready to drop yet. About 5 seconds left on this candle. Yep, no sell signal. Let's take a look at the fundamentals again. Fundamentals are currently down. We're at the new 52-week low today. So this is as low as it's been in the past year, down 500 points. It's pretty low. I mean, the heat map here should be pretty much all red. Yeah, it's pretty bad. The market's super red right now, as you guys can see down here. The entire thing is completely red. So there's no reason to look for any buys here, guys. The only reason I look for buys here is for that retracement or pullback, but just no reason. You're better off looking for continuations. So right here we have a pending sell signal. We'll see if this drops lower. If it does, we'll look for it to retrace up, provide a wick rejection off the structure, and then take the sell from there. Exactly. Patricia said, "Oh my God, boring." I know it's super boring. John caught me with the yawn. There's nothing going on here. So market open right here at 630. Let's see the range. So this is opening price right here at 630. Price went up about 300 pips, went down about 600 pips, went back up about 1,000 pips, and now it's right back down. We have the sell signal right here. It's pending. If this closes perfect, we can wait for the retracement on the following candle so that we can catch that SR rejection. But we need that sell signal here to close, and it's not happening. You can see exactly where price is getting manipulated, right? It's right here at opening price. Price will come to opening price, bounce right off it, fake out, come back up, fake off it, bounce off it a couple more times, and continue on. Yeah, not too much going on here. Yeah, Maddie said, I hate how price is so low. Yeah, it makes it very risky with price being this low because it's got a lot of potential to recover back up, right? I think during the day, maybe not right now, but like throughout the day, it's going to move up a little bit at least. And then it's going to come back down because we have more inflation news tomorrow. So I kind of warned you guys for this like on Monday or Tuesday, right? On Tuesday, I mentioned, the market's going to keep getting propped up and then it's going to dump down Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because that's when all the inflation news came out. I mean, surprisingly, the inflation news was positive, but the news, I mean, the price still came down pretty heavily. Like today it was positive, all green. Yesterday it was positive as well. I mean, it was all positive news, but price did the opposite and dropped because there's no reason for it to be positive. It's not like actually positive overall. It's just positive for that specific news event because their forecast was not correct. But there's nothing going on here. So here's the clean chart again. As you guys can see, it's still back in the range. The same range has been going for about an hour now. This price continues to, obviously move along. So a couple scenarios here that can happen. Price can reverse. I don't think it'll reverse though, or it can come back down. There's actually a V1 right here, but I think this candle is too big, unfortunately. Yeah, there's a V1 right here, which I would have been okay to take if the candle wasn't so big, but it's just way too big. Yeah, we'll see. I also don't want to take it. The wick on the bottom is too big. It's got about 15 seconds left on it. Yeah, the wick on the bottom is way too big. This is technically a V1 right here, but the only problem here is in order for us to take this entry, the wick would either have to be really big, and yeah, this is not a good entry. It looks like it's gonna hit TP though. So it still hit TP as I mentioned. So this is a V1 right here. It was just a risky entry because the wick on the bottom was so big. It looks like price could have, swung back up. But this was a V1 variation right here. I know the trend meter is currently blue right now, but the overall bias is for a sell. So retail sentiment 66% long, fundamental is down 530 points, 4-hour trend, 1-hour trend, 30-minute trend, 15-minute trend, 10-minute trend, all trends basically from the 4-hour down are bearish. So this right here would have been the V1 entry. I was really tempted to take it, but I didn't. It's all good. It's just a bit of a risky move there. Missing. Some profits here from Maddie. Maddie's currently up 1,030 for the day. Nice work, Maddie. So solid profit for you to kick off your trading day. Here we go. Price drops lower. Looking for this to close below here and provide us a SR rejection entry. Let's see, Alex is asking, is it okay to take a V1 if the wick touches the SR rejection zone? Yeah, that's fine because we're not, for the variation, the SR rejection or the SR zones are not used. So the SR zones are just there for the SR strategy, but they're not, there's no relevance for the variations. So it's perfectly fine, Alex, if it does. The only problem is just this candle type, right? Because the wick on the bottom is so big. So this was like a personal analysis of it, where I just felt like it wasn't a clean candle to be taking. But if you were to just ignore that, I mean, it still would hit full TP right there because it's still a reversal pattern. So here we go with price below here. We have a sell signal. As long as this closes below this structure or within the structure with the sell signal, then the next candle could be a possible entry for an SR rejection. Yeah, no problem, Alex. I know it's kind of confusing because we have all these other things up, but they're all specific to their own strategy. So, and they're totally different strategies. So that's the difference between this and like other variations and stuff. All right, so we got about 10 seconds left on this candle. It looks like price is not having much luck getting past the zone down here. As you guys can see, it's tested at about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the 8th time price has tested the zone down here, and it's failed to stay below. It just keeps getting pulled back into the range. So here is the clean chart. It's right back in the middle of the range again. So I'll have to see where this goes now. Here goes, price pushes right back up. Looks like it's getting a bit of a tight range now. About the same price point right there. All right, this candle has about 10 seconds left. All right, let's see where this goes. It looks like price is hitting liquidity right there because we had all the liquidity right here sitting. So it looks like it's trying to knock out the liquidity, which it just did right now. Yeah, pretty much knocked out all the liquidity right here, these blue lines. So here he goes, price starts to swing back down. Again, for this one, unfortunately, you can see how the wick here on the top is too big. This would be another V1, but the candle is just too big on the top end of it. Got about 20 seconds left on here. About 10 seconds. It's possible to be one, but for one, the candle is super choppy, and for two, the wick on top is too big, so it would not fit the criteria for a solid V1 entry. This one over here is not a double body, so no V1 here. Might be considered a V3, but I wouldn't take it. I'd probably hold off a little bit. Yeah, so you guys will see a lot of V3s and V2s come up more often. The V2 is actually good, but a V2 comes up very, very rarely. For a V2, there has to be no wick on the bottom. So it'd have to close like down here. And if that happens, candle might be too big. Yeah, so this looks like it could and would be considered a V3 entry. Yeah, I'm not going to take it though. I'm not looking at any V3s. I'm only looking for V1s and V2s. I mean V1s and SR rejections. Let's see. For the V2, Maddie, I think it's the other way, isn't it? because if you're looking for a sell, like for the V2, you're looking for a strong candle with no, yeah. Oh, you're right, Tommy. I mean, sorry, not sorry, Maddie. Sorry, no, you're right. Yeah, confirmed last candle is a strong candle, no wick on, no wick on top. Okay, no, I feel what you're saying. Because yeah, I got that opposite. I was thinking the opposite for a sell and a buy. So basically what Maddie corrected me from here was basically when you have a V2, there can't be a wick on top because it's like it hits the top part and then it just comes straight down, right? So it's like a strong push to the downside. So yeah, we haven't applied that V2 in a while, but that V2 like almost rarely comes up. I don't see it too often. If you do see it, it usually pretty much hits. It's just if I see an example, I'll show you guys, but I don't see one here because it barely comes up. All right, we have a possible, actually no. So we have a possible SR rejection for a buy here, but I think this candle here might be too big. There was one right here on this previous candle. It already hit full TP. Candle was too big. This one again right here, possible entry, but the candle looks like it may be too big again. Yeah. So this, you can see down here that the wick on the bottom is past the stop loss. It's only 30 pips, but still it's past the stop loss and it just does not fit the criteria. Makes it risky because if it retraces like it's doing right here, it can easily hit stop loss if it retraces to the entire candle, which is a little further down here. So fortunately, no entry there for us to take. Looks like it might hit TP though. However, not one that we're looking to take just yet. Another possible one off this candle, but it looks like this candle is not going to close as a moderate green candle. So this one's technically still running. And this one might be another one. We have about 40 seconds left on this candle here when passes TP. So another possible entry here, but it looks like this candle here might be a little too big again. Yeah, it's too big. The market right now is starting to move a bit erratic. You want to be careful with this because this might be a trap. It might be trapping people who are looking to buy the dip. And as soon as price gets high enough, it's going to come crashing right back down. But our SR rejection entries have shifted to a buy. This is the good thing about the SR rejection entries is that they allow us to trade in both directions. So SR rejection is cool because we can trade in sideways markets. The V1s, we trade in a directional market. So right now, market is not directional at all. I'm going to have to go and check the overall bias again. So on the 4 hour, it's still bearish. 6 hour, still bearish. 30-minute, still bearish. 15-minute, still bearish. 10-minute, still bearish. So the long-term bias over here is still bearish. Obviously, things have not changed. The only difference here is that the short-term bias is starting to shift on the 1 minute. So with that said, let me go and take a look at the sentiment real quick. Sentiment is 66% long. Looking over here at the fundamentals. Fundamentals are now down 247 points. So it's recovered quite a bit right here, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to hold. Because everything in here is still bearish. 4 hours bearish, 1 hour is bearish, 30 minutes bearish, 15 minutes bearish, and the 10-minute here is also bearish. So definitely want to be a bit careful. So this right here is actually the breakout. It just came and it hit full TP already. I don't know if anyone saw that, or it's almost there. The 10-minute daily just came up right there. This is the 5-minute daily. Actually, this is the opening candle, so you have to wait for the next one. There's actually a 3-minute daily right here too. So the 3-minute daily right here was opposite because the overall trend or bias direction was a sell. So you wouldn't have taken the buy here. You would have taken the opposite for a sell because it was counter trend. And this would have been a full TP on the 3-minute. So a full TP for a sell there, even though it was a buy signal, would have been the opposite counter trend trade and full TP right there. The 5-minute over here still hasn't come up. So what you might want to look out for is a possible, unless you would have counted the opening candle. I know some people do. If you guys did, then that would have been a full TP there already too. So just depending on which candle you count. If not, I mean, the next 5 minutes is going to be a sell signal. So possible entry there, maybe even a V1 right here. This one's got about 5 minutes left on the candle, so we'll come back to that. 10-minute over here is still running. Back to the 1 minute. There was a V1 right here, but it's a bit of a risky entry because the trend is starting to shift. And the candle's too big. So again, here the candle's too big. A lot of these entries here, unfortunately, I mean, well, fortunately and unfortunately, we can't take them because the candle is too big. So this is a V1 right here, but the candle is quite big. Looks like it's gonna hit TP, but super risky. You can see this previous candle right here almost hit its stop loss, but the candle right here is just way too huge. Double body. Yeah, I was tempted to make a late entry into this, but I'm probably just gonna hold off for now until the market starts to shift, because right now we don't really have a direction. But if we do follow the overall direction, it's going to be a sell here, obviously, right? Because overall bias here is still a sell. Yeah, Dejounte did huge, Donald Trump. Yeah, the candle here is too big. If this, and there you go, full TP off that. So unfortunately, we couldn't take that trade there, but that was another V1. So this is where you can use the V1s and the SR rejections hand in hand. Because for example, there was SR rejections right here that you could have taken for a buy, which would have been a full TP. And then there's a V1 over here that's correcting where we want price to go for a full TP as well. So I'm just being a bit more conservative. I mean, I'm pretty conservative as is, but with the way that the market's moving right now, you definitely want to be a bit careful. Here's the range. Price finally broke out of it, but hasn't really gone too far. There's a lot of liquidity sitting down here. Some price makes its way back down. I'm going to go to markup opening price here as well, so you guys are aware. All right, so as you guys can see right here, we have a bullish direction, right? So we have a bullish direction. What you want to look for here is whether price comes back down below. Because if price comes back down below here to opening price, then you can expect price to continue dropping. This is going to be the threshold. Price breaks below here, it's going to drop lower, hit liquidity, and continue dumping even further. So just something to keep in mind. So I'll continue looking for V1s and SR rejections, but obviously we're gonna be a bit careful with these entries here. You see the 5-minute candle. So this looks close like a V1, but it really isn't. So if you zoom in close enough, you guys can see that they actually don't align. So there is no V1 entry right there per se. Back to the 1 minute, nothing there. There's actually another V1 right here on the 3-minute. It already hit full TP. So these trades are coming up super quickly. If you guys remember, we supplied the V1 on the 3-minute. This actually came up right here. It already went straight to full TP. So I think this is like a sign that price might be making its way back down to open eventually or at some point. All right, so we'll see if price makes its tumble back down. I just got to keep checking the higher time frames, like the 10-minute at least. 7 minutes fine. I think, well, the 10-minute would be the first time frame to really change if it does shift back to bullish, but we'll see here. I'm just looking for that reversal back down. Yeah, Maddie said he can see it go back to open. There's a 5-minute man around this area. Okay. Yeah, no, I can see that too. I'm looking for another V1 back down. So whether it be a V1 continuation or regular V1, that's kind of what I'm looking for right here. Because the overall bias here is still for a sell. Short-term bias, obviously a buy right now, but if prices swing back below, it can shift right back to a sell. Target price points can be opening price. So if it does continue to drop, that's gonna be target price point. All right, so let's see where we're at. As price pushes up a little bit. Here is the clean chart. So as you guys can see right here, from 6:30 to 7, basically the first 30 minutes, price did consolidate, it pushed back up, and then now it's consolidating again before it makes its decision whether it's going to come back to open or it's going to continue pushing up. So my guess is that it's going to come back to open at some point. We just got to give it some time here as price continues to bounce around. All right, so we have a high right here that is pending. We'll have to see what candle follows it. If it's a V1, possible entry for sell. So unfortunately, no V1 here, guys. It's not aligned. Slightly off. So the reason why we want to have the candle aligned is because when the candle is aligned, you can see that there's no gap in price, right? Because technically like if you look at these candles closely, they should be on the same level. But you can see at the very last second, price kind of spiked a little bit, right? Spiked like a few micro pips. That's what you don't want to take trades on, because that's an indication that that price might be manipulated on the next move. When you have a smooth entry like this right here, where it's not kind of jerking around, this shows you that price is losing its momentum, right? So as you guys see here, how price is moving and it's very volatile and it's kind of just jumping around a lot, that's because there's uncertainty as to like what direction price is going and where the power is really pushing price. So for example, right here, we had a V1, price pushed up a bit and started losing power, right? So you can see like this little gap right here. As soon as it started losing power, after you got to the high, then price came falling right back down. Same with this right here. You can see how price kind of pushed up a little bit, but there's a small little gap between this one and the following candle. That's because there was uncertainty in price. Price wasn't just dropping back down. Price was like kind of bouncing back and forth at the very last second. So hopefully that's making sense to you guys. And the logic here is starting to like you're starting to understand what I'm talking about here. That's exactly why I consider the V1 to be the most reliable. Because typically, if you see the V1s here, that's usually where price starts losing its steam, and then it starts to switch in the other direction. And since we're scalping for 100 pips, it's not very much of a big move. It's actually pretty easy for us to catch it. Yeah, Maddie said it looks like it's trying to come down. Yeah, exactly. It's waiting for that V1 over there to confirm the reversal. Yeah, Maddie said it looks like it's trying to come down or retrace at least. Yeah, I agree. There goes price pushes up higher. which is completely fine, guys. So your price pushes up higher, no problem. Here's the 10-minute. So if you guys are following the daily entry right now, I just hit full TP for 1,500 pips. Hopefully the market continues to move like this. If the market continues to move, then we can start looking for entries for these daily entries. So the 10-minute doesn't really require much. It's just, the first momentum signal. So that's why this one here would have been a buy. 5-minute over here, I was looking for a V1. It didn't come up yet. 3-minute over here already hit. Looking for a possible V1 to come up here on the 3-minute too, and the 5. Let's see, so price is still pushing up higher right here. All right, so target price point for the push up would be the sessions right there. Price is attempting to correct back up, but I don't know how long this will hold for. Let me go to the 10-minute real quick. 10-minute is still bearish, so waiting to see if this comes back down. All right. So let's see where this goes here. Price still pushing up. No V1s. No V1s on any time frame, really. So we got here. All right, so fuck, I just missed it. There was a V1 right here, but it was a bit of a risky move. This thing can't, actually, no, it wouldn't be a V1 because the candle's too big. It would have been if the candle wasn't this big. I just realized the wick here was so huge, but there was a V1 again right here. There's a lot of V1s that keep coming up. The only problem is that the wicks are too big, so it still doesn't fit the criteria for entry. But another V1 right there. Both these V1s here there was too big of a candle. So this one over here is another V1, full TP, but it went close to stop loss. And this one over here, another V1. As price continued to, obviously drop further. Check on XRP over here. All right, so not really much going on here. Just kind of, waiting a bit. All right, so price is coming back up right here. Possible V1 over here on the 3-minute. No, this doesn't look too good. The wick on the bottom's too big. Body's way too small. I'll follow it on 3, but I'm not going to take it. So this here is technically a V1 on the 3-minute. I forgot what the TP stop loss used to be. I think it's 250.50. So we have that one running on the 3-minute right there. I don't really trade the 3-minute too much, but it looks like it's going to possibly come down a bit. Tempted to take a partial move here. I'm gonna hold off first. I'm gonna look on the 1 minute to see if we get anything. Yeah, it just looks too risky. Looking over here on the one. Yeah, it's about to hit too. It's just too risky. I'm looking here on the 3 minute did hit full TP right here for 250 pips. So 3 minute did hit pretty solid. Looking over here on the one to see if there's any other entries that we can take. I was waiting for it to possibly swing up, retrace, and then come back down, but that did not happen. So there's one V1 here. As you guys can see, this is why I focus on the V1s and the SR rejections. There's no zones down 3. This one over here doesn't align. On the 5, I should have just taken that 3 minute. It was looking good. It was just if this wick here wasn't this big, it would have been easier for me to take, but the wick on the bottom is just too big, making it risky because price could have kept pushing up higher. All right. So here is the clean chart. Even though price is pushing up like it is right now, it is building liquidity on the bottom. It's just in a bigger range now right here. Kind of broke out of that old range, pushed up slightly, and then created a new range right here. So nothing for us to look at yet. 5 minute here out of V1 doesn't align. 10 minute over here. There's possibly a 10 minute V1 actually. Still has 7 minutes left on it, so we'll see. If it ends up coming down. So I'll come back to that 10 minute in the next 7 minutes or so. Because I've seen I've seen these hit the 10 minutes, the 10-minute time frame V1s. This is actually what I base a lot of my trades off during the Asia session. If there's like a V1 running on the 10 minute, I'll look there and I'll go down to the 1 minute to see if there's any other entries on here where I can take it for, obviously a smaller move. Thanks, Maddie. Maddie said the retail sentiment has updated. It is now 64%. Looking over here to the fundamentals, about 186. 4-hour trend. 10 minutes still bearish though, so that's key. So this candle here still has about a long time to go. It's got 6 minutes. We'll come back to that 10 minute a little later. We might get another V1 here, and that might be the start of this swing back to the bottom side, because this still has 6 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. So once that 6 minutes is passed, this candle will close if it's a V1. I may take this for this actual move here. Just might lower my lot size a little bit just to withstand the move. And this 1 minute over here might be the catalyst. So if you see a V1 over here on the 1 minute, this is probably what's going to cause a drop back down for the 10 minute here. So we'll see. It's just a matter of time until, it can be confirmed. There's no lows here though. So if you look here on the 1 minute, there's no lows been established. So if there's no low, there can't be a high, right? Because there's already a high right here. So that's kind of what we have to look for here. Unless it pushes up a little higher, creates a new high. Meaning passing this one, which I don't see happening. Take this off right here. 10 minutes still bouncing around that area. 5 minutes as well. 10 minutes has about 5 minutes left, so we'll come back to that. So right here, if price continues to push up higher, this can create a new high. But we still need that low first. So yeah, swing below, swing back up, and swing back below. See where this goes. All right. All right, so price is trying to make its way back down. Let's go to the 10-minute. This last 4 minutes left on it, so it's got a lot of time to make its way back down to close for a V1. There's no high here. We have a new zone right here. So this might provide an entry for an SR rejection to the upside. No, it's not a moderate candle. So it's getting a little tricky right here. There's no moderate candle there, so we can't take that for a buy. So that's 3 minutes left on it. So if I see this come down in the next 3 minutes, I think this will definitely come back down pretty hard because I think it's establishing a high right here as it's hitting resistance. And it might be looking to make its way right back down. So about 3 minutes left on this 10-minute candle. See, makes another attempt right here. So this is a buy for an SR rejection. I'm not in the position yet. I'm still analyzing it right now to look because it's at a risky area right here. Fuck, it's too late. You can't think. So I try to analyze it for a second, but it already went straight to full TP. I mean, this entry came up super quickly. Came up right there, blasted right through. I should have just taken the trade, but it's all good. I was just kind of worried because it was in this area here where it might come back down, because I was looking here on the 10 to see if this would come back down the last 2 minutes, but it doesn't look like it. This might be a second entry right here. Candle's too big though, unfortunately, so we can't take this here for an SR rejection. However, this was the first one right here. Actually, if this closes a little lower, this can be a possible entry, just not too low. All right, so it looks like this may be an entry for an SR rejection. Let me get into it right here. Wait, did I get into it? What the heck? Wait, what happened? Sorry guys, 1 second. I think that spike up just hit my TP. Let me check my trade real quick. No, I didn't. Okay, so I didn't even get into this position right here. So if you guys want to get in for a late entry, let me see if I can get in real quick. I set an alert there. I thought I got in. I was like, that was quick, but it didn't actually fill. I gotta measure the wick though on top. Let me check that too. Yeah, because Maddie just confirmed the wick on top is kind of big. So I'm not in the position yet. Still thinking about entering it right here, but wick on top was team. It was a good thing I didn't enter it. Yeah, because I was trying to make a late entry here. I tried to enter when price was like above this point, but then it didn't fill. And then I was looking over here for another attempt, but yeah, maybe it was good that I didn't take it. I mean, this would have fit criteria though. I think the candle is just too big. So let me go over here and measure this real quick. Yeah, it's kind of pushing it. So I'm just gonna hold off, guys. I don't want to fall into any of these moves here. You know, I was already waiting for this to come back down. So the buys over here weren't really trade that I was looking for. So let me just take this off real quick. I didn't take the trade. I tried to take it initially. I looked at my profits and it actually didn't fill, or it just didn't take the trade for me because it was just my profits from yesterday. And then I was going to make a late entry right here, but then Maddie mentioned that the wick on top was too big. I measured it. The wick on top was actually okay because the body right here is at 220 pips. So this would technically be an SR rejection entry. The only problem with this here is that we were looking for a sell. I wasn't really looking for a buy here at all. I was looking for this to come back down on the 10, which it didn't. It got close to it right here, but didn't provide the red candle there for the reversal. This next candle here might be the one though. So this one right here, I mean, that was a good save. So if this candle here closes red on this next one, then this would technically be an entry for a V1. So we kind of want to, we still kind of want to stay in the direction of the bias. If the bias is too strong like this, you know, if this was like mixed up. So for example, if this here was bearish, bearish, bullish, 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 then the bias would be kind of okay. But right here, everything is super bearish. So we probably don't want to look for any bias here just yet, even though we're seeing some good entries here coming up. You know, every once in a while, it's probably best to just wait for these, you know, these trades to come to the downside. There's no V1 right here. It's just a bit of a tricky market today, as you guys can see. I mean, obviously, it's just there's not much direction. Like we're expecting price to come back down. Here's a clean chart. It looks like price is starting to make its way down, but that's basically what we're aiming for. We're aiming for price to come back down lower and come back to opening price right here. So here's a range that I drew earlier. Looks like price kind of faked out a little bit right there on that last candle, that green one. And then it'll pull back into the range. Next target area is probably to swing back into the lower range over here. And we'll see how that goes. I'm going to follow this 10-minute here because if this closes as a red candle, this would be a V1 here for a sell. It's a V1 for a sell, and you go for a bigger push there as well. And Dijon said, "Thank God I couldn't find my laptop mouse." Yeah, it's a tricky area to be trading right here. My main thing I'll be looking for would be this right here. You can see the 10-minute. This would be a good guidance to determine the direction, because we're really just looking for a reversal pattern for it to correct back to the downside. It's really just being patient and waiting for it though. So nothing there on the 5. It's not a V1. Nothing there on the 3. Nothing here on the 1. Nothing here right now. There is a V1 here for a buy, but not one I'm looking to take. Because for the V1s, we actually need to have a bias, right? So for this right here, there's a V1, but actually, never mind, there's not a V1. Looks like it, but it doesn't align. I'm keeping an eye out on this 10-minute though. Let's see where it's going. Man, I was hoping today was going to be pretty smooth, but it's not really. It's actually worse. Like Pre-market was actually better. I know I usually don't trade Asia session, guys, but you guys have seen my profits lately during Asia session. One thing to keep an eye out for would be the spread, right? If the spread goes down below like 200 points, then you're basically trading the same as New York session. So if you do want to trade during Asia session, which I've been trading lately, I think the sweet spot for trading around that time would be around like 8 to 10. Just look at the spread to see if the spread's pretty low. If it's low, and then you get a solid entry, then you can go ahead and try and take that trade. The problem is you should also confirm the overall bias. Like for example, yesterday I only took trades because everything was bearish. So everything was bearish, and that's why I took those sells the other day. Yesterday, right? I took the sells here because everything was bearish, so it's super easy for me to just catch a sell and then let it ride down further. Looking over here on the 10, that's kind of what I'm looking for again right here, because we have a strong sell bias. I just need this to close as a red candle, somewhat moderate. And if we can get that, then great. If not, then it's probably time to just wait a little bit longer, because there's not really much for us to take here. That's why I was tempted to take this, but it just didn't go with the bias for today. I know the K2SR rejection strategy doesn't require bias, but during these types of conditions, you definitely want to have some sort of direction instead of trading, both ways. So looks like price might be tumbling its way down. Just gotta wait for this here to actually close. See, the problem with this here now is that this candle is getting too big. So I'm gonna have to take this with a smaller lot size, just let it run. Actually, we have news in 5 minutes too. Thanks, Marco, for the heads up. So we got news coming up. Probably not the best time to take any trades. Let's see where this goes. All right. So the 10-minute here is still pushing a little bit. We'll have to see where it goes. Now the candle is just too big. So even if you wanted to take an entry right here, the candle is just way too big. And then we have news at that time as well. So I'll just follow and see where it goes. But, obviously not really looking for anything too crazy. We got news coming up shortly, so we can't even take any trades if we wanted to. See what news we have coming up. I think it's light impact. We have natural gas storage, which, let's see, they're anticipating it to be positive news. So they'll probably keep pushing price even lower. All right, back to the 10. So I'm just going to wait for this to close, and I'll just leave it marked up. Either way, it looks like the candle here is going to be too big for any type of entry. But I will leave the markup up here to basically just follow it and use this as direction for the 1 minute over here, which we're still waiting for it to, come down lower. I'm just hoping we don't get a V1 at news price. I want price to like kind of pass it first and then provide a V1 for us. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of useless because we can't take a trade until, and I'd rather not miss it. So we'll see where this goes in the next couple of minutes or so. All right, we got news coming up in about 20 seconds. All right, there goes the news candle right there. Check the news real quick. Refresh it. News over here, 7 o'clock was neutral. All right, so the news is neutral. 10-minute candle here did close. So we'll follow this and we'll see where it goes. I'll just send an alert there to see. I'm not in this trade, guys. I'm just following it. The candle, again, is too big, so it's not one that we can take. But actually, we wouldn't take this because there's news on this candle. So we actually wouldn't take that trade there. All right, so man, this market's just really boring. I was hoping it'd be better, but I've been getting most of my trades during like Asia session because the market's been so slow. Yesterday was good, but I mean today's been kind of all over the place. There hasn't been any entries for us. I'm looking for some V1s here. Let me check the sentiment real quick, or not sentiment, the biases over here with the trend. So everything here is still bearish. I'm still looking for sells here, but we just don't have anything to take because for one, this 10-minute over here is one that I was looking for, but there was news on this candle. So obviously we wouldn't have taken it. I guess we just have to wait for the next one. I'm like curious to see if this was like lined up properly too. Let me see. Yeah, I guess it was fine. If there was a news on that candle. There'll be one right there. Take this off. All right, so with price pushing up right here, let's see what we could find. All right, so price is retesting the structure over here. Another double top. So double top by this right here, because this is where it first established the top, and then it's testing it again right here. Actually, this is like a triple top because it tested it right here for double top, came down, triple top right there, came back down. No V1 there. It's like price might be making its way down to the news price right there for a retest. And there just isn't anything for us to look at here. If you guys have any questions, or if you guys want me to analyze anything, feel free to put your questions in the chat. If you guys want me to analyze Forex pairs, I can still analyze them for you. Just a couple people have asked me lately to analyze some Forex pairs for them. I can still help you guys with that. It's just I don't trade it very much, so can't really give you much insight as to like what I would do. But I can kind of give you an analysis and determination as to like where I think price will likely go. Just using the confluences, same confluences here that we use on the US30, you can use this on all your assets. Same with the strategies. I think I was looking at like V1s over here for like GJ and stuff. And I mean, it still works. Like, for example, right here, there was actually a V1 right here. So, I mean, obviously depends on your confluences and stuff, but like someone is asking me about GJ, they're asking if I would use the V1s on here. I mean, depends. Like depending on the bias and whatnot. Like for example, right here, we had a sell momentum. Right here, you have a double body, and you could have taken that for a short there. I don't know what the sweet spot would be for the TP stop loss, but it looks like that would hit TP. And then, another one right here, another double top, or not double top, double body. Would have been into that for a sell, another full TP there. So it just depends on like what you guys want to apply it on. If you guys do want me to analyze like Forex trades that you're currently in, like, I can give you my analysis on that. I know I mainly trade US30, but analysis is the same. If you guys can analyze US30, you can analyze whatever pairs you guys want, whether it be gold, Forex, crypto. I mean, whatever it really is. The options are really, they're pretty endless. All right, so let's see what else we got over here. Just trying to look for another entry here for XRP, but I just haven't found one yet. Maybe down here, if price comes back and retest. I've just been playing around with like other assets lately because US30 has been kind of slow. Not really slow, but there really hasn't been too many entries because there's so much choppiness. But I've been finding luck during Asia session, of course. So let's see, price is probably gonna come back up and retest the zone up there. We got another zone right here. So it's 6:30. I mean, it's 7:37 right now, guys. So we don't really have much time until 8 o'clock. Hoping we get somewhat of a move here before we reach that point, but we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, let's see if a V1 comes up over here. Check on the 10. Still bearish, so see if another V1 comes up over here. So as you guys can see, price is just ranging between these two zones, right? It's pretty obvious. It just keeps zoning around this, bouncing around these areas over here. Looks like it keeps bouncing between this resistance and this support, basically. So again, right here, another test. I mean, it's tested it quite a bit over here. So it's probably tested about, let's count this as 1, this area here, 2, 3, and a 4th test right over here. No V1 there, unfortunately. It's not lined up. So you can see it's not really a smooth clearance for possible entry. Here we go. As price tries to retest the zone again. So it goes for the retest again right there. See, like one thing that I started to notice is if price breaks into this area, if you see the next candle has like a wick, it's probably going to drop down even further. Like probably bounce off it. It's kind of what I've noticed here. Like even before the candle closes, if there's any type of wick here on the following candle, it'll typically drop down at least enough to cover 100 pips if you're looking for those quick scalps. Like for example, right here, this here doesn't have a wick yet, but once it starts to create a wick like that, odds are it'll probably come down a bit lower. Not that I'm going to take any trades here, but I'm just speculating because I've been seeing that right here. Whenever you see a wick come up on the next candle, this actually would be a V1. The wick on the bottom, though, is what's kind of like throwing me off a little bit. Actually, never mind, no V1 there. But it would have been enough for a quick scalp. No, the wick on the bottom is too big right here. I know typically it doesn't matter too much for the V1, but from my perspective here, it's considered a little risky because the trend on this 1 minute is so strong for a buy that I wouldn't want to risk it. But yeah, if the wick on the bottom wasn't like so fat like that and it was a lot smaller, then I probably would have taken it for a V1. I guess we can follow and see where it goes. Nothing here on the 10, nothing here on the 5, nothing here on the 3. And this is exactly why I wouldn't want to take it. You can see that would have been straight to stop loss. All right, so we just got a bit of a tricky market because the thing is the 1 minute over here is pushing up a bit, but if you look on the 10, it's still bearish. So it's still attempting to, continue dropping. The main problem here is a big candle. So this big candle is really what's causing trouble here because it's causing people to really gamble whether price is going to correct back up or if it's going to continue back down, right? My guess is that eventually it's going to come back down, but it has to retrace at least to some extent. So for this candle right here, all right, this candle was 600 or 6,760 pips, right? So typically what it'll do is it'll retrace to like the halfway mark or the full candle. So halfway mark will be like right there. Full candle will be like right there, right? So you can see it's getting close to it. This candle right here is getting close to the halfway mark for the 10-minute. When price does reach that point, then price will either come back down for correction or it's going to continue pushing up to the full candle. And that's kind of what's making this a toss-up right here because there's a couple entries here that keep coming up. Like, for example, there was a SR rejection right here. But candle's too big, could not have taken that trade. There's another SR rejection right here, but again, candle's too big. So you get kind of these spurts of like volatility. It's like typically kind of slow right here. And then all of a sudden you get these big like candles that come out of nowhere. Target price point is going to be like that middle area right there, that blue line I drew, which lines up with the sessions. But yeah, I mean, right now there just isn't anything for us to really follow at the moment. So we'll see this here. Price again is at this area. So as you guys can see, it's another wick right there. If you see like a high, then you see like a wick next to it. Typically what I see happen is like price at least drop like 100 pips, right? So this is something to look out for. If you see a high get established, look at the next candle. If the next candle has like at least a wick on the bottom, on the top side for a sell, it'll probably drop at least 100 pips. Same with like the lows over here. So for example, if it goes to a low and you see the next candle has at least like a little wick right there, it'll probably push up at least 100 pips before you hit your TP. I think this is kind of similar to like what if you guys remember what's his name, Kevin. So if you guys remember Kevin, who would post like a bunch of profits, he would kind of look for structure like this. This is exactly what I was doing here. He would look for structure like this using the K2SR indicator, and then he would look at price action, right? Basically, price looking to push at least 100 pips. That's why you have like 10 trades with like 100 pip profit per account, right? Because he just looks for those little things. So, you know, I kind of just figured out what he was doing. So again, same thing here. If you see like a high or something getting produced, if the next candle here has any sort of wick, it's just like basic price action. You're just looking for that rejection off those points. Then you can at least catch it for a quick little scalp. I feel like playing around with this maybe like on a demo account or something. Obviously not on my actual account, but a demo account would be interesting to run it on. Let's see what we got over here. So again, right here, same thing that I just was talking about. You can see how there's a high right here, and this candle had a little bit of wick. It drops at least 100 pips to hit your TP if you're going for those quick little moves. Maybe this is something I create a strategy around, because it is pretty interesting how that happens. So I'll check this one again right here. Again, guys, these aren't trades. These are just stuff that I'm looking at. There's no trades that we can take right now. I know there's a couple SR rejection entries here, but the problem is the candles are just too. So if this closed as a moderate green candle, this would have been an entry. However, if you look here at the TP stop loss, unfortunately, the candles are too big. So if the volatility stays as high, we'll continue applying the same strategies. We'll just have to change our TP stop loss so that we can you know, catch the moves here. But as we're waiting for an entry here, I'm going to keep speculating with these types of entries that I was just discussing. So with this right here, we'll see how this candle closes. There's a high right here. So we'll see if it closes. And then if it closes, I mean, it's going to close with the high. Just look at the next candle and see if there's a wick on top. If there's any sort of wick, it's probably going to drop at least 100 pips. So, and it's bouncing off the sessions as well. So we'll see this right here. There's no wick on top yet, but when there is a wick on top, then, and I'm just looking at stuff that I've just been, you know, identifying on the charts lately. There's a wick on top. We're gonna have to wait for it to close actually, but there's a wick on top here. And it looks like if it comes back down, it'll probably drop at least 100 pips. Or I mean, if you're scalping within this area where you're having this bounce around, I mean, if you're going for 100 pips here, depending on where you make your entry, you can at least like lock in, you know, quick 100 pips. I think this is what Kevin was doing before. So if you guys remember Kevin, his profits, let me see if I could find any of his here. Because I was always curious how he was doing it, right? We could never really figure out what he was doing because it was so vague. But now that I see this, because he would always tell me that he would do something like this. He would draw structures and identify when price would bounce off, but I could never figure out like when he would make the actual entry. It looks like whenever there's a high here and there's any sort of wick, it's going to drop down at least 100 pips. I don't know if I can find it here. Let's see. Yeah, so like it looks like that's what he was kind of doing here. He would just couch these little bounces. And then he'd go for bigger bounces. I think he does the same thing on the higher time frames too. But the 1 minute here looks like, you know, it could be pretty lucrative. Because every time you see a high here, like I'm just looking at every time you get a high here, if you trade within this area, if you just start to see a wick, you can catch at least 100 pips. I have to ask Kevin myself. He tried to explain it to me before, but I didn't really get it. And now it's kind of starting to make sense. So like, for example, you have a low here, a little bit of a wick on bottom. Pushes up a little bit. Yeah, it's at the session right now, Maria. So guys, it's 7:50 right now. We don't really have much to look at right now or take. I was looking for some V1s today. There hasn't really been too much V1s. There hasn't been any SRs either because, so I'll just show you these SRs here. There's a couple SRs that came up, but not ones that we could take because if I mark up the TP stop loss, you can see that the candles are too big. This candle was too big. This candle here was too big. This candle right here was also too big. There's just no candles here to take for the SR rejection. Same with the V1s. There was no V1s here that we could have taken. We were looking for sells for these variations. There was one that was right here, but it was at news price. But everything else, there is no variations. This one here did not align. This one didn't align either. And there's obviously none that are aligning over here either. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't really see too much going on here. The 10-minute over here. I'm curious if it works here too on the 10, because this is kind of similar. I mean, it looks like it does. Probably have to use a different CP stop loss, so it's such a bigger time frame. Hmm, 30. Yeah, I'd have to find the sweet spot. But just looking at these here, whenever it hits, I mean, I guess you go for like 10 as well. I don't know, it's something I got to play with. Same with the 5 over here. So that one comes up a little bit. I think the 5 might be easier. Yeah, I'll have to play around with it. But I mean, if you guys have the gist right there, if there's anything that you guys have any questions about. So here's an example for a buy. I just want to see if it works. Not one that I would necessarily take, but I just want to see if it works here too. We have a low over here. If the next candle has any sort of wick, odds are it's probably going to keep bouncing up a little bit. So you just need it to retrace down a little bit and then push up. So there's no entry here, but I'm just going to use this to see if it actually works. Well, I mean, this thing just shot back up. Well, this is actually a V1. Fuck, I totally missed it. But I'm not looking for a V1 for a buy anyways. So there's a V1 right here, but I'm not looking for a V1 buy because the problem with this here is that the sentiment or overall bias is so strong for a sell still. But I'm not looking to take that because you need to confirm the overall bias for the variations. Let's go to the 10 real quick. Yeah, it's still a sell. So you're not really looking for that there. But this would be a V1 and it would have hit CP. All right, guys, it's 7:54 right now, and this actually would have hit CP. So if you guys remember what I was just mentioning, if you start to see a wick right there at any point off these high lows, it pushes up at least 100 pips, which it did right there. So if you would have entered this when price came down a little bit and pushed back up, it would have been a full TP right there. And I just want to be transparent with you guys. I've been playing around with like my demo over here. So that's why I was kind of like trying to log into my other account because I didn't have any other entries here. I'll just show you a screenshot of those trades that I just took. I've been taking these trades as I've been talking about them. I'll just show you one account because obviously this isn't my actual one. I'm just going to screenshot this right here to show you guys. I just made a ton of profit. It's crazy how easy it is. I wish I took it on my main account. but I kind of wanted to play around with it. I was getting kind of bored waiting for the V1s. So I have this one FTMO account that I kind of just play around with when I have ideas. And those trades that I was just talking about right now, you can see they're all wins. So I wish I took this on my actual account. I was just looking at those little pushes and I logged into my demo account when I was mentioning earlier, and I just started taking trades here. So from like 733 up until now, these are all the wins that pretty much hit. I was just applying that thing that I was just referring to you guys at. So might be onto something. I kind of feel like I'm Kevin right now. Right here. There you go, Patricia. So I feel like I was just looking at Kevin's profits. I was like, man, how does this guy lock in so many wins in both directions? It's just basic price action. So like you just use the K2 high lows because that's going to show you where price is likely to bounce. And then when you see the wick come up on the other one, it's likely to push up at least 100 pips. So I just took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 back-to-back wins right here for about 10,000. That's pretty crazy. So I think I have an idea now. Now that I have to yellow my account anyways, I might as well just play around with this because it looks super lucrative. Okay, so for example, right here. But basically here, let me show you what else. It's hard for me to show you guys when like the candle's not live. Let me see if I could find. Okay, so I'll use this as an example right here, Patricia. So if you see a wick right there come up, like a wick show up right here, then odds of it coming down at least 100 pips are likely. So you see right here how it's kind of bouncing around. You see that wick. This is what I was referring to. So whenever you see the wick just show up a little bit, you take the trade and it's likely to come down at least 100 pips to like hit. And it did right there, right? So I just took another one and it hit full TP. So let me take another screenshot of that. I'm like kind of amazed right now because I'm like, man, this is exactly what Kevin was doing this whole time. He just uses like these quick little moves. I'm locked in like another. It's like a little game. Okay, let me show you. So I did that again, exactly what I was just talking to you guys about. I just looked for these little wicks. It's like basic price action, but using the indicators to really identify it. So here's another one right here. So I just took another one right there. You can see this one at 757. Like you're just waiting for it to come back down. I mean, this is crazy. They're all wins. So another 1,320. I should just, no, whatever. I'm gonna just leave it at this. I'm not gonna FOMO and like put my real account on. As soon as I use my real account, it's not gonna work, right? So I'm gonna keep looking at it, but basically what I'm looking for here is you look for these highs to get well, not really established, but you just wait for them to come up. So again, another example right here, right? We have a low. So we have a low here, and I'm gonna show you again. I gotta show you real time because it's you can't back test this. It's not, I mean, you can probably back test it, but it's going to be too difficult because you can't see the actual candle moving. So for this right here, I'm not taking this on my live account, but again, right there, you see a wick or sorry. Yeah. So you see how that wick came up on that bottom side right there? You would have entered like as soon as you saw the wick show up, and then it'd be pushing into profit right now. So you can see right there where it's kind of pushing up, where that little wick was. That's basically where you make your entry. And then again, right there, another full TP. It's like such a quick move that happens like in the blink of an eye. And then I just hit another full TP. Fuck. I should get put my real account on here. It's all right. Brian said, so glad it was a boring day because causes us to look for different ways to trade. Nice, Sean. Yeah, no, this thing hits. Like it's crazy how often it hits. I locked in another profit. So I guess I could take another screenshot. So I'm just gonna I think I'm gonna wrap it up as at that, guys. All right, let's just mess with it again one more time here. Let's see if it plays through. All right, so we got another low right here. This is a news candle, so obviously we wouldn't be taking this trade, but we'll just play around with it to show you, what we're looking at here. So I'm gonna wait for this candle to close. This will be the last example. It's not an official strategy, but I just started to notice it, and it's crazy because I'm like hitting like crazy profits right here. And this is new. I wish it was my real account, but it's not. I just want to be straight up with you guys because I just noticed this and I was like, okay, this is probably gonna work. So we'll see again right here. We have one more example. The problem is that it's right at the sessions again, so I don't know if this is gonna work out. But there's just I just start to see these patterns, right? Because I've been trading for so long. Whenever I look at the charts, and there's always a catalyst. There's a catalyst to identify where price is likely to bounce from. Okay, so for example, right here, once you see the wick, which the wick came up already, it's kind of too late to enter, but you can see it shot straight up and basically hits TP. Like you're just watching, you're basically watching for the price to come down a little bit, and then when it creates a wick, you just enter right away. It's like a quick, like you literally have to be staring at your chart, but it's super lucrative. Like if you guys watch it, odds of it hitting are very likely. So let me just scroll up real quick. Pat said, so here's what we do. Everyone set their DOM to 1030. And for an hour and a half every morning, Sean, just say buy and sell. I know we can probably play around with it because it hits like super often, which is kind of mind blowing to me. Again, right there would have hit if you took the trade even late. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy because a lot of people were trying to figure out what Kevin was doing for a while. He kept telling me he was doing like price action, but off the zones. And it's actually even easier because we're doing it off the high lows because they come up so often. I just actually took that trade right there and it hit another full TP. Man, I kind of feel dumb because I should have put my actual account, but we had to practice first. Jeez, it's crazy. Look how many wins. I'm going to take a screenshot again. These are so many wins within a short period. So, I mean, if we want to play around with this, I could probably play around with it too and just do what Patrick said, right? Just yell out buys and sells. But we'd have to if we traded like that, it'd have to be like on a day that we're not expecting much. So, okay, that's it with my trades for today, guys. Yeah, Patricia, Sean, what stop are you doing? I'm doing the same, the 1030. I mean, you probably don't need 1030 because it doesn't have any drawdown. Like you could probably use a tighter stop loss, but I think it's safe to just have it just in case because the spread gets kind of wide. So like here it goes again. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wins back to back right here. Oh, man, that's crazy. I would have made 11,000 right here if I just took it on my real account, and it's all within like a super short period. All right, so I guess I'll keep playing around with it and see what I can get out of it. But I mean, it seems like it works pretty well. I literally just been playing around with it right here. I wish this was my real account, but it's all good. So I think that's it for right now, guys. If the markets continues to move like this, where it's kind of like slow, I mean, we missed a couple trades right here. There's a V1, but it was at the session, so we couldn't take the trade anyways. There's no SR rejections here. So, I mean, there was really no entries today. So I think today was maybe a good day that we didn't have any actual official entries because we were kind of able to play around with it to figure out like these little strategies that could work and be very lucrative. So again, right here, here's another example. But this is probably a bad area to be looking for examples because it's right at the sessions. But let's see if this candle here closes. We'll go for one more example. This is just kind of it's kind of like a little game to me right now because I'm not even trading on I'm not trading on my actual account. So if I lose these trades, whatever, I'm just kind of playing with it. So yeah, looking at this lower high right here, what I'm looking for next is going to be the wick on the following candle. If you see a wick on the next candle, then you can just enter a sell it really quickly. Like anytime you see a wick, like right there, that's where the entry would have been taken. And we'll see if it comes down. And I guess this is cool because I'm just playing with it on my demo account. Because so here's the thing, we have the base, like the base foundation of like how this entry works, but we have to kind of add other things to it. Like for example, right here, we're going against the strong trend, right? So if we're going against the strong trend, we should probably go with the trend. So maybe we won't use it in this manner where we just keep looking for trades in both directions, because you can see right here, it's probably not going to work out well. The other problem with this trade here was that it was at the sessions. So we still have to incorporate the red flags here, right? So I know we kind of just figured out an idea of like how to trade certain ways, but there's a couple things here that would probably still need to come into play. Like for example, right here, the sessions. I think this would be the main one because obviously that's the main red flag that we have. The thing with the other trades over here that I was taking, so the one that I was taking over here, they weren't around the sessions. Like the candles weren't touching the sessions. This one over here actually like broke through the sessions, so that's why it would be a bit of a risky move. Same with this one over here. It'd be the same thing. This one actually would have hit CP. So, I mean, this is like work in progress. We'll keep playing around with it. I wasn't using my live account, so it's whatever. I was just playing around with it and speculating. But overall, I mean, this is pretty interesting that I was able to come up with, this much profit within a short period of time. So let me just put this right here. Speculative moves off the scalps. I'll just put this here on the live session. And probably 8 o'clock is going to be the cutoff of this too, because you can see right here now we're at 8 o'clock. Price is kind of moving kind of crazy. Earlier before it was moving pretty smooth. You can catch like all these little pushes, but once we hit 8 o'clock over here, you can see the market is starting to move a little more erratic. So a couple of things to like maybe keep in mind: red flags, avoid sessions, opening price, news price, candles too big. I mean, candle too big probably won't be a big deal because you're looking for a quick move anyways. But the main thing here would probably be the sessions and then maybe trading after 8. But for the most part, I mean, this is a pretty interesting strategy to kind of play around with, because I always try to figure out like what certain people do in the group that like make a ton of profit, because I know they're trading a risky way. But I don't know, I just got to play around with it. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for right now. Let's see what other profits people have to post here. So Al over here locked in a total profit of 1,112. Nice work, Al. We have Patrick over here, total profit of 761. Nice work, Patrick. Yeah, he said started out the gate harshly, but recovered within a positive day. Yeah, definitely, Patrick. And then Patrick said now he's done for the day. He locked in a total profit of 1,675. So solid work there, guys. But yeah, as I was discussing earlier, guys, there's going to be a lot of different ways to trade. I'm still going to be focused on the V1 and K2 SR rejection, but this new strategy that we kind of played around with, this might be something risky. I also have to, I don't know, I got to start a new account soon anyway, so I might just kind of play around with it and then maybe YOLO it for like a couple months until I end up blowing the accounts, and then I'll just start a new one, because I have to start a new one due to my email. I don't have access to the Sean at K2 Trades email anymore. I have to create a brand new FTMO account and TFF because they don't let you change emails on there. All right, guys. So I think, let me see what else is here. If there's any other chat here. Yeah, Ross said, so when the wick is on the bottom, you buy. Exactly, yeah. So wick is on the bottom. So for example, Ross, if you have the high-low on the bottom and you have the wick on the bottom, that's where you buy. If you have the high-low on top and you have the wick on top, that's where you would sell. But as I mentioned earlier, we got to figure out other things, like figure out if we're trading in the direction of the trend, which I think would be beneficial. Yeah, I think that's probably the main thing. The main beneficial thing is trading in the direction of the trend and then avoiding these red flags. Or I mean, maybe we can just avoid the red flags and continue trading in whatever direction. So I don't know, we'll have to play around with it. Let me scroll up real quick and see if there's anything else that I'm missing. So let's see, Deswell over here as well said, example on the higher high candle closes next to the candle drop, 100, 200 pips can back test this with 85% win ratio. What to talk about with Sean months ago, but been so busy. Yeah, so Deswell said he's been doing it too. What he does basically when he back tests it is he'll look for these high lows and then he'll measure at least like 100 to 200 pips. This is basically what like Kevin was doing too, because you can see his profits from before. He was making like 1,000 to 2,000 per trade. So basically, for example, right here, see how there's high low? Just look for the wick and then you'd measure from the wick down, right? Because that's where you'd make your entry. So you make the entry right there, it's at least 100 pips. Almost every time it's at least 100 pips, could possibly be more. Again, right here, you can see there's we probably want to take off a couple of things here, like maybe momentum, maybe the SRs, just to clean it up a bit. Or actually, you know what I could do is I could just go to the clean chart. Okay, so basically right here, we have nothing except the K2 high-low indicator, right? So for example here, you see how we have a high and you see the red candle over here, right? So the red candle, as soon as you reach like, as soon as you see a wick there, you just take it for a quick 100 pips. So same with this right here. You have a low and then you have this candle next to it. As soon as you see a wick, that's where you'll make your entry. And you make at least 100 pips on that. And the thing with these high lows is that they come up so often that you can literally take so many of them. So again, right here, a high, as soon as you saw the wick right there, you take it for 100 pips, full TP. So it's, I mean, it's pretty lucrative because you can see here, there's like how many entries? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and not to mention like the invalid signals as well, or invalid high lows, because they've been like, they get repainted over time. So yeah, I mean, it looks pretty cool. If anything, we'll continue to apply it and we'll play around with it as time goes on. But I think for the moment, we're gonna wrap this up for the day. It's 8:12 right now. It's 12 minutes after 8. So as you guys can see, the market is moving kind of crazy. But other than that, I think that's about it, guys. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me, message me on Telegram. This will probably be one of the main focuses for the next mentoring session. So if you guys can attend the mentoring session next week, that'd be great, because I'll look over the V1s, SR rejections, and then this as well, because this seems like a super lucrative strategy. I mean, even looking on the higher time frames over here, like here's US30 on the 10-minute, because I know that Kevin used to do this on the higher time frames too. Like if you go over here real quick, like here, let me just clean this up a little bit, because this might be even better on the higher time frames, because it's going to be a lot easier for us to not get caught up in these super fast moving markets. So like for example right here, so there's a low here with the red candle, right? And then the next candle over here was a green candle, but you can see the wick right there on the bottom. So with the wick on the bottom like that, you can probably push it for a bigger push. You'd enter as soon as you see the wick, and then you'd probably go for maybe 30-30 or something like that, right? And then it would hit another full TP right there. So same with this one over here. If you're looking for, because you have a high right there, you have a high. As soon as the next candle has a wick, any sort of wick, like this one right here, see how there's a wick right here? As soon as the wick started to produce, because price would push up, and as soon as it comes down, you would have an opportunity to make an entry. If you're to make an entry at that point, 30-30, I mean, you'd probably enter even higher, because as soon as you see the wick, you would take the trade. Price would be pushing up. As soon as you see a wick at any point, you enter that for a quick sell, and then a quick 300 pips there, or wherever you would make the entry. Yeah, CT said maybe trade on the 1 minute, but in the direction of the 15-minute. Yeah, no, that could be the thing too. So like CT mentioned, so I just want to make sure what you're referring to, CT. So for example here, if the 15-minute, so okay, I see what you're saying. So if you get a higher high, you're only looking for sells. If you see a lower low here, you're only looking for buys, right? Is that what you're talking about? Because right here it's been, okay, perfect, gotcha. That's actually a good idea. Let me put that in my notes. Use 15-minute as guidance for direction. Only trade sells if recent high or buys for. Yeah, no, I mean, this looks pretty useful too. So we'll look at like from 6:15 until 8, and you're only looking for buys there. I mean, it works. You go from 6:15 to 6:15 started right here. Yeah, I mean, either way, I think that's a good confluence to use. So if you guys have any other ideas, keep those ideas in mind, send them over to me. If there's anything that you think we could do to make it better, because I mean, if that's the case, we can make a ton of profit from now until the end of the year. I'm kind of excited to see us applying this, because if I locked in this much profit in just like a short time period, I mean, imagine if we do this every single day, right? I might have to scrap the V1s and the the V1s and the SR rejections if we get to this point, because this is crazy. If you could lock in, like, you could lock these in like super quickly too, especially during a volatile market. So all right, guys, I think that's it. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we'll keep practicing with this, play around with it. Obviously, our main focus is still going to be the V1 and the SR rejection, but now that we have this kind of blueprint to like what a lot of these high profitable moves can be. I mean, they're really quick moves for like 100 pips. They hit right away, and you don't really have to worry about it. So we'll keep looking at that. I mean, we got a couple months left in this year, so I mean, we got a long time until next summer. So we're gonna have high volatile markets from now until probably May or June. So definitely want to take advantage of this and just improve it as we move along. So, all right, guys, other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow for the next live session, same place, same time. We'll try again the strategy tomorrow, play around with it, see where it goes. But until then, we're going to wrap it up. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I will see you guys here